One of the first things that you need to do if you're going to become a real estate investor is learn how to run your numbers. What does that mean? That's why you don't want to miss this episode of the Aid to Assets podcast. My guest is going to talk to us about what it means to run the numbers, why that is so important, and how she has transformed the skill of running numbers into building her own portfolio and helping others do the same. You don't want to miss this episode of the Aid to Assets podcast. Welcome to the Aid to Assets podcast, the ultimate podcast for aspiring real estate investors. I'm your host, Tiffany Watson. Join me as we discuss real estate investing for 9 to 5.
Like, your work ethic should never change based on the result.
You cannot put a price tag on your safety.
When you can understand the foundation and how we got here, it will give you direction on how it could potentially go.
If you want to get some real estate, the best way to get it is to start investing in real estate. And that's what I'm saying. Tax liens and tax deeds is the best way.
So we are meant to be in movement and in constant motion, in constant discovery of ourselves. And that's why we get to explore so many different things of ourselves.
This is your Aid to Assets. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another amazing episode of the Aid to Assets podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Watson, where here I get to interview 9 to 5ers who've made the pivot into real estate investing. And I am so excited about my guest today because not only has she pivoted into real estate investing, she's also become a real estate professional, helping you get your investment properties too. So we're going to talk about how we run numbers, how we find properties, all the things. Whit, how you doing today, girl?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us on the Aid to Assets podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So y'all already know how we do. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button so you do not miss anything. Make sure you got your notebooks out because note takers are move makers. So Whit, before we even jump into all the fun stuff, we like to start the show with receipts. So go ahead and tell people a little bit about your real estate investment experience. What have you done and why should they make sure they don't miss any part of this episode?
Yes, so I've always loved real estate, first off. Like, I was a little girl, like, literally watching all the HTV shows. And so when I decided, like, okay, I'm really going to do this, I went full in, joined a program. I took my primary residence that I was staying in and I turned it first into an Airbnb, and now it's a long-term rental. And I just, I did some work on that property first. So I did like a minor flip on that property to get it ready. And I finished the flip back in January, and it was like full on, like I had to be there, had to interview probably 12 contractors. And so that house is on the market currently, and I'm continuing to teach people how to run the numbers on flips, and I'm continuing to flip myself. So I'm in the market for my next one so I can keep it going.
I love it. So let's go back now before because you mentioned you'd always kind of been interested in real estate, had loved HGTV. What was it that made you decide, I got to go all in now? What was that moment for you?
So I think a lot of times we get so lost in life, like all the things we have to do. Like, I was a teen mom. I had my son at 15 years old. So I had to work. That's what people tell you. You got to go to work, And so nursing, I felt like I would always have a job, of course. So I went into nursing. I did love nursing at the time. I'm trying to get out now, but I did love it. And so when my son graduated from high school in 2021, it was kind of like, who am I? Like, who am I outside of being a mom? What do I love to do? What do I really want to do? What's something that's always spoke to me? And I've always gone back to real estate, wanting to flip, wanting to invest, because I've always known, like, most of the people you see that are millionaires is through real estate. And I know that, putting my son through college myself, I was like, this nursing is cool, but these 12-hour shifts is not what I want to do till I'm 65. I can't be in this place till I'm 65. So that's what kind of made me shift to be like, okay, now it's time to really do what you want to do, to show him that he can really do what he wants to do as well.
Absolutely. I love that. Love that. Okay. So we decided like baby's at the house. We doing our own thing. Now you mentioned that you turned your primary residence into an Airbnb. What was that process like? How did you even decide that's what you wanted to do?
Well, it wasn't really too hard because it was already fully furnished. I left my furniture in there. And so when my son went off to college, I decided to travel nurse because I was like, okay, I can make money from, nursing, and I can make money from this house just sitting here. There's no point in me paying a mortgage for the house to be empty. So I turned it into an Airbnb, and then they changed the zoning law. So I had to make it a long-term rental. But I was just like, listen, I don't need this 4 bedroom with an office and an extra, little spare room. I don't need all this room for myself. So I was like, you know what? We're going to make some money off this house some kind of way. But I knew I wanted to keep it. I had to keep it because I was like, this is something that I can pass on to my son. Or, when he comes back from college, him and his friends, he can, house hack, and him and his friends can live there if they want to.
For sure, for sure. And I love that because for so many people, like especially, I'm here in Fayetteville, so huge Army base. There's people that deploy all of the time, and they have houses that are just sitting that they can actually be making money on.
Exactly.
And so I love that you were like, I'm gonna go get this bag as a travel nurse, and I'm gonna put this asset that I own to work so it can make me more money, because that's what we all in here trying to do this for. So how were you managing that while you were still working these 12-hour shifts in a new place as a travel nurse and managing your Airbnb?
Well, I had systems in place. Like I had done my research. So I had all the different apps to where it was automatic. If somebody booked, the cleaners were notified. But then I also had boots on the ground. Like I have a friend that she's down for whatever. So I'm like, girl, can you go buy the house for me? Can you go do this for me? They said this is broke. Can you meet the handyman over here? So it's definitely important to, if you're not going to be right there where you can do it, to have somebody like a team member. Somebody has to be there that can go out and really, help you out, be your right hand man. Because it was hard because I was all the way in Washington. So I was in a whole nother time zone and I was working night shift. So I had to have somebody here.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. Now, you mentioned that the zoning laws changed, and so you weren't able to keep up with your Airbnb. Tell us a little bit more about that, because there are a lot of people that are concerned about, like, well, I don't know what to do. How did you handle that situation?
I just, first off, when I bought my house, I made sure that I bought in a great area. Like, location is everything. Like, people are like, oh, I just want to get this house wherever. Like, you have to look at all the different factors when you purchasing a home, period, but especially something that you could possibly turn into an investment property. So the location had a good school district. It's an older neighborhood. You got them nosy neighbors that's going to look out for your property. Your girl, they be texting me, telling me all kind of stuff. So that location is so important. So with the location, I knew that either way from the beginning, as the Airbnb or long term, that I wouldn't have any problem, getting people in there. And it's so close to like AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys play, the Ranger Stadium, the baseball. It's so close to all kind of things. So I just knew that whatever happened, because you never know what the city's going to do, the state's going to do. So you have to take all that into consideration. So when they changed the zoning laws, I was like, okay, so now it's just time to pivot. Like, I feel like I'm a professional problem solver. I tell people that all the time. And so when it came, I was like, okay, I'm going to go move my stuff into storage and let somebody move on in here.
I love that, because oftentimes when something like that throws our plans off, people can just like throw their hands up and like, oh, this must be my sign. I'm not meant to do this. Let me just try something different. And it was like, no, the goal was still the same, to make money from this property. Just the way that you went about doing it looked a little bit different than how you initially started. Now, do you still have a tenant in that house now?
Yes, it's actually, these tenants have been in there for 2 years now. And like, these are the tenants from God. Do you hear me? Because they literally just want to do everything themselves. They like, do you mind if we paint? I'm like, do what y'all want to do. Do you mind if we fix the door broke on the shed from the storm and we replaced it? I'm like, okay, thank you. Like they just like to have their own little space. They love it. Every like since I've renewed their lease, they call and they're like, you don't plan on moving back, do you? We love it here. Like they love the neighbors. So it's like they are perfect.
I love that. We give thanks for good tenants because, and oftentimes, like we hear these horror stories, right? About, the tenants messed up the house or they're so annoying and all these things. And I tell people, while that can very well be true and be a possibility, have you ever tore up a place that you were renting? Did you get on your landlord's nerves?
Right.
So like, don't let these outliers, because we're gonna the negative always tends to get overemphasized. But there are more people that are super regular and super chill that are renting places that you could be their landlord.
Right. Right.
Now, so it sounds like you are property managing yourself instead of outsourcing a property manager. Is that right?
No.
No?
No. I have a
Talk to
property
me.
manager, even,
Okay.
and I wasn't going to when I came back from travel nursing, I was like, I could do it myself, but at the end of the day, I don't want to. Like, I just don't want to. I want it to be completely passive. Now, when something happens, if, like something needs to be replaced, I think it was a couple weeks ago, like some of the sprinkler heads were broken. So I sent my handyman over to do that. But no, my property manager takes care of everything. Because, they have the contracts. They have the systems to do the background checks. They have the systems where the money automatically is just sent to my bank account. And my property manager is an older lady. She's been doing this for years, and literally, you can't beat the price. So I was like, you know what? You can go, and I'm up the street. Like I'm not even far from my house, my property now. But I'm not. I don't want to do it, so I'm not.
I love it. I love it because we are building the businesses that we want. And so I tell people there isn't a right or wrong answer. You either going to save time or you're going to save money. And you just got to decide what's more important to you in this season. Now, how did you find your property manager? Hey, y'all. Tiffany here. Are you looking to purchase or sell real estate? As you know, I'm your aid to assets, and I want to help you with all of your real estate endeavors. Whether you're local here like me in the Fayetteville, North Carolina area, I can then help you purchase or sell your next property. If you're looking to purchase or sell outside of North Carolina, let me know too. I can still help you. I have a team of agents all over the country that I can connect you with to partner on your next deal. Let's get to the closing table, y'all. We buy our way to wealth, whether that's buying right or selling better. Can't wait to hear from you. Click on the link in the bio if you want more information on how to personally work with me or an agent on my team. Talk to you soon.
Literally Google. I Googled local property management companies. I interviewed like 3 of them. She came to the house. She's in the area. It's her and her husband. So it was, like I said, she had the best price and the most experience. So I was like, yeah, bro, let's go ahead and do it.
Let's do it. Okay. Very, very cool. So then you had that property and then you decided that you wanted to do a flip. Tell us how you got into this flip.
So with the flip, I knew I wanted to flip because, like I said, I was an HGTV girly. Like I could do this. Like, I used to watch the shows. Like, why did they pick that flooring? Like that was
Yeah,
exactly. So I think I'm
those cabinets. Come on.
I'm an interior designer too. Okay. So I knew I wanted to flip, and plus I want to build the capital so that I can get out of nursing because I'm an ER and trauma nurse, and it's taxing. Like it's a lot. So I was like, I'm gonna flip from now on until I build up that capital. So I have a mentor local here to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and he holds a seminar. And the seminar was, I think, a couple $100. And somebody put me on to him. So I took the classes, and he literally will be the bank for you if you take his classes. So I was like, you can't do
And wait,
that.
for those that don't know, explain what that means for people who may not be familiar.
Like, he will fund your property. He won't fund the like renovations, but he will give you the money for the property with like a 10 or 20% down. But no, you don't have to go through the bank and do a credit check or any of that. But it was just like a no-brainer for me, like an easy way to get in there while working on my credit and business credit and stuff at the same time. So he brought a property to me, I think like in October, November, and it was in a great area. It's in Denton, Texas, and it's literally like Texas Women's College is on one end of the block, and the University of North Texas is on the other. So it's in a great location, great neighborhood, and it just had been sitting there. So, like I said, I interviewed those 12 contractors, which I thought was gonna take me out, but but no. Even before that, I was like, okay, how do I get in here easily and without putting up a whole bunch of capital, because I have some other stuff I want to do on the side. So I'm in a couple investment groups. I ran the numbers because that's what I do. I'm a numbers girly. And I posted it in the group like, hey, I have this property. These are the numbers. Is anybody interested in investing with me? And I got two ladies who were like, yeah, we down. So I literally put up 5,000 of my own money. The rest of my money came from business credit, and they put up the cash portion. So that's how I got
Wow.
into it.
So let's make sure, I want people to hear, because so first of all, by putting yourself in the right rooms, you were able to bypass the banks and all of the requirements in order to get traditional financing, and you were able to get a private lender to help you get this house. Then, continuing to be in the room and networking with other individuals, you found other people to partner on this deal with you, so you didn't have to do it all by yourself, and you had people to bring extra funds. So then you only ended up being cash in $5,000. And how much did y'all buy the house for?
We bought the house for 260, and with the private money lender, we only had to put 10% down.
Y'all, I need you to hear this. First of all, she's in a property for $5,000, a property that they purchased for $260,000. And then, because of her connections with the private money lender, they only had to put 10% down. Most lenders for an investment property, you're going to have to put 20% down. She decreased her costs by half just by being in the right rooms. Like, I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, you mentioned about running the numbers. And so that's something that a lot of newer investors, that's the thing that stops them the most, is that either it's just the math in general, like the math ain't mathing and I don't know what this means, or I don't actually know what numbers I need to be running. Can you walk us through a little bit more of like, what does that actually look like if I'm a new investor and I'm wanting to figure out what my first deal can be? What numbers do I need to be paying attention to?
Yes, there's quite a few things, but there are some basics. Um, but the numbers are like the most important thing, because if you don't get the numbers down, you gonna be 9 times out of 10 you're gonna lose, because people don't, especially like the sellers. It can be a grimy world in this real estate world. Like, people will sell you anything, and if you don't know the numbers for yourself, you can be taken advantage of. You can definitely lose a lot of money. So the numbers are most important, but the what I would tell people to start with, like, is your basics, like your 1% rule, which is your rent should be about 1% of the asking price. If you're looking to buy and hold properties, your 70% rule, which is you should be 70% of your after repair value minus your renovation cost is about what you should be paying for a fix and flip property. And then the main thing, I see a lot of people when running numbers where they get caught, especially on fix and flips, they don't include their monthly expenses, like your utilities and stuff. Like, you have to have them utilities. You need electricity. They need electricity to fix up your property, your water, your gas, all of those things. They forget to include that in insurance. Like, those are things you cannot forget to add into your expenses. Um, so those are like your main ones when running the property, but you can also, go a lot deeper into numbers and formulas and stuff. But those are the main ones.
I love it. I love it. Now, talk to us about, because one of the biggest things people like you said, we see HGTV, we see them taking these crazy abandoned buildings and turning them into these beautiful renovated properties. But a lot of people, especially when we talk about running the numbers, the cost of how to rehabbing these properties is something they're not familiar with. What did you do to get a better understanding to make sure that your numbers were really accurate when you were doing your rehab?
Yeah, I did my research. Like I did my research on the area. I talked to other flippers. Good thing about my mentor, who was the private money lender, he was the flipper for years and years and years. So he had the knowledge too. There are tools out there like bluehammer.com and things like that where you can kind of estimate your rehab costs, but it's different from area to area. Where it's like here where I am in Texas, you can probably do a full rehab at like $25, $35 a square foot. But I have friends in Atlanta who's like, sometimes we at 65, 85, depending on supplies, the
Facts.
type of the year. Like, so you have to really know your area, interview. Like I interviewed about 12 contractors and I was getting prices from 80,000 to like, I think to like 20,000. Like it was such a huge gap. I was like, at first I was like, I don't know what to go with. But my mentor was like, this is what you need. And he has a construction company too. So he was kind of like walking me through it. But you definitely have to, at least for your first, couple, you need somebody that you can go to and talk to.
Yeah, that's so good. And I definitely just want to echo that. Like, don't feel like you got to do your first deal alone. Don't feel like you got to do your first couple of deals alone because this is a new world for so many people, new language. And so having people that have the experience that you can borrow from is not only going to make you more confident, but also going to make the process a lot easier for you. Now, talk to us about these contractors because same thing we hear a lot. So the same way we hear a lot of stories about tenants, we hear a lot of stories about contractors. So first things first, you mentioned interviewing, where I can't stress the importance of interviewing contractors enough. Because why would you hire somebody for a job and you don't know if they can do it? Like, so talk to us about how that process was for you. What were you looking for? What questions were you asking? That sort of thing.
So, like I said, I'm a numbers girl. So I knew my numbers. I knew what I needed the construction or renovation to be at for this project to make sense for us to get the, return on our investment that we wanted to get. So when I was interviewing contractors, I would, ask them about previous jobs, like how much did they think it was going to cost? How long is this project going to take? How many people are you going to have here? Are you going to be here every day? And I wanted to go look at some of the work that they did. Because, of course, they all have beautiful pictures. They show me on the phone. I'm like, that look like it's from Google. Like, I think I could Google that. So, like, because contractors can be con artists. Listen, and I had some who you could tell they were just thieves. And I'm like, they like, oh, well, I ordered some extra supplies on this other job. I could put the rest in your house. And I'm like, did you tell the people you ordered some? Like, see, I
Because
can't.
are you going to do that to me too?
Because I love Jesus, but I will pull up on you. So, like, no.
We about to put that on a shirt. Wait a minute. I love Jesus, but I will pull up on you.
And I will. Like, so no. And so the contractor I ended up going with was someone that some other people within my brokerage had used. And so I actually hosted some open houses in some houses that he had done the renovations on. And I really liked it. And he ended up coming to my house and he gave me a really good price. And he was like, oh, I live out here. So it was nothing for him to get to the property. He would get the deliveries for me and all kind of stuff. So it kind of just works. It kind of works itself out.
Yeah. Now, did you already have the property? Did you had already purchased a property before you started interviewing contractors?
Well, I started interviewing contractors kind of I guess it was kind of after I had purchased the property. And just because he funny story, he was the one I was originally going to go with in the first place. And the only reason I ended up interviewing the rest of the people is because like his whole crew got like the flu. Like part of his crew got the flu 1 week and then the other part got the flu the second week. And I was just trying to get started. So that's why I ended up interviewing all these other people. And by the time they got over the flu, I ended up going back with him anyway. So it was like, but yeah, I had purchased before I did all those interviews.
Got it. Now talk to us about the money and how that process works. For folks who are like, I want to do a flip and I got a property, but I'm not sure how this financing works because now we're not just funding the house, but the repairs and everything as well. So talk to us when you're working with lenders. How does that process work for folks that aren't familiar?
Hi, my name is Tiffany Watson, and I am your local neighborhood expert. Born and raised right here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, I'm very familiar with today's current market to help you best sell your home. Whether you are trying to decide what repairs you may need to make, what you should list your home to get the best profit, or how to negotiate with buyers once you promote your property, I am here to be your trusted confidant through every step of the journey. Fill out the information form below, and I'll be happy to give you a call to talk with you about the home selling process. I can't wait to serve you. Looking forward to seeing you at the closing table.
Well, your lender should give you your terms up front so you kind of know what you're getting into. So I knew my terms, like on our on the closing documents, all your terms and stuff should be right there, black and white. Nobody can go outside of that. So with our terms, we do pay the interest, but the interest only. So he'll get all the rest of his money on the back end when the house sells. So we make our monthly interest payment just like you would a mortgage payment at the first of every month. And as far as so he just financed the house. He didn't finance the renovation. You know, you can get loans that everything is all together, but since we went private money, he just does the house. So we actually, like I said, I got the money for renovations through like my business credit and through my partners. So I literally kind of broke down like a draw schedule for the contractor. So he would get so much done and I would, pay him so much money. And then he would get so much done and I would pay so much money. And then, of course, I would order supplies. He would go pick them up or I would have them delivered to the house, whatever just made more sense. And sometimes he is an amazing contractor and I plan on working with him again because there was sometimes like I would order something or I would be like, hey, what do you think about this? And he'd be like, I can get that for cheaper. Like, I was like, oh, thank you. So he would like,
we appreciate that.
Yeah, he would get stuff for cheaper. He's like, oh, I have a garage because I had to replace the garage doors. He was like, oh, I have a garage guy. And so what was going to cost me like over $1,000, his friend did for him for $400, like replace the brand new garage door openers, everything. So I was like, okay. So he was very resourceful too. So definitely love him and I'm going to keep working with him.
Yes. When we find somebody that works, we're going to keep it working.
Yes.
Now, did you have to pull permits with any of the renovations that you did?
I did not because I didn't have to do, mine was mainly cosmetic, but we just had to, like replace like some drywall, some wood, things, but nothing that we had to pull permits for. Thank God. That takes
because that's a whole other process. Yes. That's a whole... Love it. Okay, cool. Now, so somewhere along this line, you also decided that you were going to become a real estate agent in addition to being a real estate investor and flipper. Tell us about that.
Yes. So while I was traveling, it was like, I was like, what else do I have to do? I know this is what I want to be in, the area I want to be in. So I decided just out of the blue one day, because I'm spontaneous like that. I was like, I'm gonna get my real estate license. So that's what I did when I was in Washington. In my spare time, I studied for my real estate license. And so when I got back here in July of last year, I just kind of hit the ground running, took my test and passed and hooked up with a broker, and because I want to be in real estate, like all things real estate. So
Now, how do you feel having your real estate license impacts you as a real estate investor?
I feel like I see things from both points of view. Being a real estate agent helps me really know the laws, the rules, the regulations, things I can say, things I can't say, things I can post, things I can't post. But then the investor side, I know the numbers better and how to, look for a good deal, how to look for certain things in properties where I'm like, oh, we can ask for a little discount because of such and such, you know. So I feel like it gives me the best of both worlds in this in the real estate world.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, now you also added to your repertoire where you're actually helping other people do this as well. So tell us about the book that you got coming out, the strategy coaching that you do. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I literally, this kind of fell in my lap. I didn't know that I was going to be this person. Math has never been my strong suit. Now you talk about some English, I can write you a paper or email, okay? But as far as math goes, it's never just been my strong suit. Like I've been okay. I know when my check ain't right, but but it's never been my thing. So when I started doing the numbers, and I just made it a point, like I'm going to get good at these numbers because I know this is the core of real estate investing. So I just would run numbers every day, random properties. I would just run numbers all the time to where I really got pretty good at it. So I started hosting like calls for groups of people where I would just we would run numbers on people's potential properties. And it kind of turned into a business when I got my real estate license because I'm in and out of houses all the time. Like I go see properties just because, like, let me see, this might be a good investment for somebody, you know?
Facts. Me too. Like,
Yeah.
because I can.
Yeah.
I can go see this.
Exactly. Like if it's empty, ain't nobody in there, I'll be like, let me make a little appointment to go pull up. You know, I might have
Yes.
somebody need this. So I just really started with the group and teaching, and then it kind of expanded from there. And it kind of like it goes hand in hand with being a realtor. So I just started teaching like little lessons like on my Instagram and stuff. And then I have a friend who was like, you should really like take this to the next level, like as far as teaching people the numbers, because you teach it simply. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll kind of see where it goes. And it's kind of it just grew from there. And I do calls for my mentor as far as teaching reps. And like you said, I'm coming out with an ebook, so it should be out soon. And it's like the basics, like 101. It has examples, it has like sheets where you can write down your properties you're looking at. It has definitions, it has, fix and flip, first buy and hold, how to run comps. All that stuff is in there with the link. There's a link also to my YouTube channel where you can also kind of see me run through how I run comps, how I do the numbers. Like all these things are on there because people usually give you a little bits and pieces, but I'm trying to give you like an overall, like where you can really start doing something with this.
That's so important, and it's so good because like you said, like the numbers are everything. I tell people, when you got to buy right, you buy your way to wealth. And so you win from what you buy. You selling it later, but if you bought wrong, you can try to make it up when you sell, but that's not the time to really be trying to do it. And so definitely y'all check that out. With YouTube page will be linked in the description, as well as the link to her ebook. And so if you are an investor that really wants to move the needle in your business and feel confident in knowing that this is a good property for you to go pursue, definitely check this out. Practice running your numbers every day. How often would you say, like, how long were you practicing running your numbers on a daily basis? Like, what did you give yourself?
It was months and months. Even if I just if I just did like one or two a day, like, because literally I would just pull up like Zillow or somebody and look for a property. I would just run the numbers on it. I would look at the rents for that particular area, like just to make myself like really familiar with it. And sometimes like just doing it, you don't know how much you know. Like it starts clicking. Like at first you're like, man, this is foreign, but then you get to knowing stuff, and you're in conversation talking with people. You like, dang, I really, you know what, I really knew that. Like, and I feel like that's where I'm at now. Like I've gotten to a point because I've done this repetition so much. I can look at somebody's numbers. I told somebody the other day, like I can tell your cash on cash is wrong because just from looking at it, I don't even need to pull out a calculator because what you put into it versus the ARV, I'm like, I can tell your cash on cash is not right. Like, I don't know what exact number it is, but it's too low. Like stuff like that. So you have to do it. You have to have that repetition to get good at it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so it sounds like y'all got some homework. If you try to get into your property, another property this year, you need to be running the numbers. So it's like you need to get it with ebook. Go to her YouTube channel, follow along with her so you can be practicing running the numbers and you can get confident yourself. And all you got to do, like she said, just pull up Zillow and see what's available for sale. And one thing that I tell a lot of clients that I work with is most deals online are bad deals. So like, don't get discouraged if the numbers don't work, because it's actually you. That's how you know you're doing it right. Most property is not meant for you, but you got to keep digging for that jewel. So before we wrap up out of here, two last questions I want to ask you. The first one is, so it sounds like you definitely, like, you are a student of what you do. You, from everything from the mentorships to practicing it and building in the repetition. So when you think back to your journey and how you started, what was most impactful in you as a person growing through this process?
I think knowing that there are people like me out there who just don't like you like my pastor, he just talked about it today. He calls it divine discontent. Like, you like, my life is good, like it's good, it's okay, but I'm not content here. I know I was meant for more. So being around those people has truly, like, has changed me. Like, you have to be around people who are like-minded, who are, have big goals, who have big dreams, and they not even dreams, like they actually going for these things. So it's the communities, being around people with similar stories and that you just connect with, that are going to push you, that are going to challenge you, because it's not easy. Like, people, you see these little Instagram stories and they're like, oh, I built this house and made $100,000. And they're just like, oh, wow. You like, no, like, honey, it can be hard. You got to deal with 12 contractors lying. Like, it can be hard, and life is going to come at you. Like, during, I think it was 2023. Yeah, 2023, literally 2022, one of my best friends passed away. My dad passed away on Christmas Day. But I had like a group of people from being in these rooms who, outside of real estate, we have really become a family. So I know I always have people to count on, whether it's real estate or personal. So the people is what was definitely pivotal for me.
That's so good. That is so good. I love that. Okay. Now, we like to set intentions around here too. So when you look ahead 1 year, 3 years, your choice, what is going to be true for you and your business?
3 years, I will be retired from nursing.
Period.
I will no longer, like, I'll still have the knowledge, but I won't be in anybody's hospital or clinic or any of that. I will be working for myself full time. And I have over 20 properties.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Well, Whitney, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experience. This was incredibly valuable.
Thank you for having me. I was nervous, but I was like, okay, you made me feel good. It was great.
This is amazing. You did this. So y'all, make sure y'all run this back so you can get those formulas that she was talking about and learn how to run your numbers. That is the main takeaway from today. Go run your numbers, whether it's 10, 15 minutes a day. Go pull at least one property off of Zillow and see, is this actually a good deal or not? Who knows? You may have found one. And if you did, you can hit us up, because we got people who will buy your house, sell it, whatever you need to do. This has been another amazing episode of the Aid to Assets podcast. Can't wait to see you at the closing table. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to another insightful episode of Aid to Assets. Remember, your journey from 9 to 5er to successful real estate investor is within reach. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep investing in your future. If you'd like to know more, connect with me on Instagram at Aid to Assets. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Until next time, happy investing.